Welcome to another episode of Behind the Now. Today I chat with filmmaker, director, and writer Ari Gold. Ari has won over 50 prizes for his films, including the Student Oscar and Best Director at the American Cinematheque. His films have screened at Sundance and won prizes on every continent except Antarctica. Ari also holds the Guinness World Record for commanding the largest air drum ensemble on Earth, which was a byproduct of his air drum cult comedy, Adventures of Power, and his romantic drama, The Song of Sway Lake, played at 52 international film festivals, winning Best Feature at over a dozen of these. Listen in to learn more about Ari's journey, as well as amazing advice for all filmmakers paving their way. What's your pathway so far? How did you become a director? How did you get to where you are?
Well, I started as a writer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in high school, I thought I was going to be a writer, which I got from my dad, who is a writer. So I thought of it myself, but you know how. But it never occurred to me that I could make movies because it seemed like an insurmountable,
Mm-hmm.
mountain to climb. So, but eventually I took a few summer classes that realized I could like learn to do that. But I was always kind of waffling between like, can I actually break into directing? And it's still a question that I ask myself even now. I've made 2 feature films. I've made a bunch of short films. I'm now got a TV show that I'm preparing to pitch. And but it's been like fits and starts. And I was initially working in the like indie and then take your film to Sundance model.
Yes, yeah, you've
Um,
done amazing work. You've been to so many film festivals and winning so many of them.
yeah,
Yeah.
I have a lot of trophies, which doesn't necessarily translate into employment.
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
I decided now that I am not interested in chasing festival prizes so much as
Mhm.
I am interested in actually getting in bed with a studio or streamer before I make something, because this isn't always true, but the attitude often when someone comes to acquire your film is different than if they have been involved in the early stages in making it,
Mhm.
because then they have a sense of ownership. They
Yes.
if they buy a film, they own it, but if they are involved before you make it, there's the emotional ownership, even if it's a
Right,
corporation.
it's an emotional investment.
Yeah, and so if the people who fund or produce your project at a studio or a streamer don't get fired, then they remain involved and actually can help to get the word out about its existence. So, my films did great at festivals, and that's cool.
Mhm.
But in distribution to the general public, it's been very hard to get any attention for them whatsoever. And as a filmmaker, obviously, part of the game is that you want your movies to be
Right.
seen, and like they get released in these tiny ways, and they're like on the bottom of the pile on Amazon, and you're trying to trick the algorithm into getting it to be recommended so people hear of it, because I don't have the marketing budget to advertise it. And so I have these 2 features that they're out there on Amazon. One of them was it took a while for me to get the rights back because it was released by this little company that then got absorbed by a bigger company, and
Mhm.
ultimately their rights expired, and I got the rights. And so it's cool that I can do what I want with the films now, but
Yeah.
it would be nice to have like advertising muscle behind
Yeah,
them.
definitely.
Like my second feature, the one of the stars is a star of Umbrella Academy, and
Mhm.
he has huge fan base, and he does he's done some Instagram lives with me, so his fan base will hear about it, for a few
Yeah.
minutes when we do that. But it wouldn't be a terrible thing to have it like show up on the top page of a streamer
Yeah,
recommend.
that's
Yeah.
amazing. Does it
So
help you find though to because you do have all this credibility and all of these awards from film festivals? Wouldn't you think like does that leverage anything at all, or are you finding not so much? Like does
well,
it depend?
it it does in the sense that I can get actors So
Mm-hmm.
actors have won prizes in my movies for their performances,
Mm-hmm.
and I've worked with credible actors. So um, that will help with future projects, and it has helped in past projects.
Yeah.
I like my first feature. I had already had 3 shorts at Sundance, and so I just it made it a lot easier to
Yeah.
go to Michael McKean and Jane Lynch and credibly say, here, we're making this low budget movie about air drummers in the middle of Utah. Do you want to come shoot for no
Yeah.
money? And to have a credible actor work on a film for no money would be damn near impossible if I didn't have prizes before that.
Yeah.
So it
That's
does
great.
help,
It's a big
but
plus.
it doesn't translate necessarily into commercial
Yes. Yeah. But hopefully it will,
catastrophe.
like it's a process.
It's slow burn. I
Yeah.
mean, people, I've been doing these podcasts like with celebrity drummers because my first movie is about air drummers.
Yeah.
Adventures of Power. Everyone check it out. Adventures of Power. Stop what you're doing and write it down. Um, but so like, I had the drummer of Anthrax, drummer, I had different musicians, drummer of Styx. And so I did, I don't know, 12 or 15 of them so far. So their fan base hears about it because I do these
Yeah.
little chats. Yeah, I
So
mean, the
yeah.
main thing is to keep creating. I'm finding I want to keep creating things, but also there's a massive amount of like strategy networking where you know, I have a spreadsheet of everyone that I know
Yes, that's
so that
great.
I can say, okay, well, I want to work with this person, and this person worked once with that person, and that person knows that person. So that's how I can get to that person. And like, it seems crazy, but like, there's no way I could possibly remember that when we're talking
Yes.
about
No, I think,
hundreds and
yeah.
hundreds of people. And so like, so I'm using that now. And some of that has led to, real things happening where I call someone and catch them on the right day and they see an opportunity for them because they like what I'm making or planning to make, and they'll connect me with some huge person. And
Yes.
a lot of it's dead ends, but then in order to get, like, I have festival cred, but I don't have industry cred because my movies haven't made tons of money because they're basically unknown, semi unknown. So like, in terms of like getting something approved um for big dollars,
Mhm.
all of those connections are gonna help.
Yeah.
And then people like, oh, I remember seeing a movie at Sundance or whatever, and that helps. It does.
Yeah, and that's brilliant advice, like for anyone listening to, I think at every level, wherever you're in, and like anything creative you do, it's important to keep a record of everyone you meet because you really don't know when you're going to cross paths again with them,
Yeah,
and
keep a record and
yeah,
be
I think it's
nice.
great.
And be nice.
And be nice, yeah,
It seems like an
extremely.
obvious thing, but uh, being nice to people and sort of respecting their journey and where they're at and what they want is really important, especially with lower level people.
Yeah,
People who are not um, in huge positions of power, because they might be next year,
right, exactly.
and regardless, you might, it's good karma to be nice anyway, but also it happens to be helpful in that, like, you'd be surprised what junior level person might suddenly be in a position of power, and they'll remember that you were cool to them.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I think that's important. You mentioned, because I know you hold the Guinness Book of World Record for the
There.
largest air drumming ensemble. And I wanted to ask you, is that something you set out to do, or was that just like a byproduct of your film? How
Well,
did
it's a
that?
byproduct of my film. I mean, I love that as a byproduct. But yeah, you make a movie about air drumming, it's the only movie about air drumming. So, I mean, like, I became the world expert in air drumming because I not only did I make the air drumming movie, but I play the main character in it. And so I was invited to be a judge at the air guitar competition in Finland. And then there was a rock music station in the Inland Empire, which is like whatever, like an hour east of LA.
Hmm.
A rock music station asked me to do this Guinness World Record to basically conduct an orchestra of 2,300 people air drumming, because the Guinness rules require an expert to, they had a bunch of stuff that they had to have. They had to have like certain highly skilled moves and expert air drummer and all that. And so, you know, I am the expert air drummer on planet Earth, I guess.
Yes, that's amazing. How
So,
cool. But where did your interest for that come from?
I mean, honestly, I just thought it was funny. I used to I play drums. I would air drum, and I went to an air guitar competition um, on a whim because a friend invited my brother, and then I just decided to enter myself on stage, and I had these short shorts in my trunk, and I just put them on, and I said my name is Power, and instead of playing air guitar, I played air drums, and then I was disqualified. But the crowd was like livid because I gave a really great performance, and that was the birth of the character and the concept.
Mhm.
You know, was this,
Yeah.
and there's like an injustice thing that kind of runs through the movie of like, you know, the air drummer not getting the respect, and um, but that actually sort of played into a larger. I realized that that absurd story could be combined with stuff I really cared about, you know, workers getting abused and kind of fighting for a better America, a more unified America, and so there is this absurd story, and then it's mixed with a kind of socio-political story, and then a spiritual story about like listening to your own heartbeat. Um, so all of the things combined, and those who love the movie get all that, and then there's people who hate the movie who don't get it. They're like, you know, this should be more like, I don't know, The Hangover, and it's not. You know, it's not that
Yeah.
kind of
Well, it's
comedy.
not,
So,
yeah. I love that like that layeredness though. That's beautiful. I love that. Like the different storylines. Like on one level this is going on, and on a spiritual level this is going on, and it sounds like all of those elements are there.
yeah.
You know? What is your process of like for like from conception to making a film? That's a huge question. But what is your like writing process? What like where do your ideas come from? Where do you usually start from?
Well, it really depends. I mean, you know, if something's bothering you long enough
Yeah.
that, you know, an idea that just won't go away,
Hmm.
then maybe I'll start like taking notes on it. I mean, the air drumming thing, like, you know, that didn't go away. That character didn't go away, and I was like, I got to write this. And in the case of that one, you know, I had thought about him as being a copper miner in the
Hmm.
Southwest, which I had lived there for a little while and was there during some, you know, major labor disputes and strikes and stuff. And I thought there was a good idea to merge that. So I decided to go out and do some research. And the day I got there, a new strike began, a worker strike. And I was like, this is serendipity. This is meant to be. And so, but then with the Song of Sway Lake, well, that was also an idea that didn't go away in the sense that I um, had a set of characters that I liked. In my head, this Russian guy falling in love with a, you know, young Russian guy falling in love with a glamorous American woman in her 80s. We ended up casting someone in her 70s, but that was something that also kind of bothered my mind for a little while, and I wanted to explore it. And then combined with that, obviously, is the feasibility thing, where like if an idea is bothering you and you start to write it, but then you got to think like, how am I going to get this made? Am I
Right.
going to pitch it? Am I going to try to raise money independently, which is what I've done in the past and I don't want to do anymore. Um, but it has to really bother you because there's other things, you know, you have like a little whim idea and
Mhm.
it sits on your, either it sits on your shelf and you never really go deep into it because you're not really passionate about it. And there are a number of obstacles that you go through over the years getting something made. It's like you're getting constantly punched in the face and you better really love the idea. If
Yeah.
you like it, it's not enough. You have to love it. So you're either going to get punched in the face and stop and quit, or if you have incredible willpower, you might, you know, I wrote a romantic comedy script and I wrote a horror script once. And I did them both because I had these ideas that I thought would be great for horror and great for romantic comedy. But the truth of the matter is, I didn't really love the ideas. I didn't and don't particularly love those genres. Um, so I did it, but it didn't have the flair. Um, so you
Is
know,
there any kind of indicator that you can like if you think about or you can share that is like because you said that example is like something you wrote and then you realized in retrospect you didn't love it, right? So as much as you thought. Is that what you're saying?
No, no, not in retrospect, during.
Oh, during. And then so then in that case, like what do you do from there? Did you like just leave it?
Well, quit. I mean, don't do it.
Right. Okay.
Don't, I mean, unless you're getting paid a good salary to do some
Right.
creative work. Like there's a thing of people doing creative work on spec because they think someone else will like it.
Yeah.
And that was stupid. I've done that before where it's like,
Mhm.
you know, if I was hired, that's a different story.
Right, because you're getting paid.
Because then you're getting paid and you decide, okay, I'm doing this as a crafts person.
Mm-hmm.
But to do like, oh, I think people will like this, or I mean, I get it with certain genres, but especially horror, where it's there is such a market for horror, and you can make horror for cheap. So, it's possible, I suppose, to do something on spec in that genre. You're like, okay, I'm just gonna crack into the business somehow using this genre, even though it's not my genre. But I suspect that the people who really do that well love horror.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and that's a really good point too. Um just like mind like the mindset or like the paradigm of you're writing something for you more so than what like how you're anticipating it's going to be perceived in a way. Like something that you're truly passionate about and it's not necessarily because you think everyone will love it, because it's hard to work from that kind of place. It's like, yeah.
it's helpful if everyone does love it, of course.
Right.
But yeah, if you
You can't predict that.
can't
That's the
you
problem.
can't lead with that. I
Right.
mean, you do need to do some research as to like what's. I mean, I know it's tough because like most stuff that is made has a story of how people were like, oh, there's no market for this. I mean, obviously, in terms of sequels and stuff like that, that's not true. But like,
Hmm.
most of the gutsy stuff has to go through people saying this doesn't work or this isn't right.
Yeah.
And so, if you try to anticipate what's going to be right, um, I don't know. There are producers certainly who are like, it's I don't know, gumballs are hot right now, and so are people from Madagascar. So we're going to do a Madagascar gumball movie or whatever. Like maybe that can't work for some people, but that seems more like a producer way of thinking than a creator way of thinking. And then the
Yeah.
producer hires someone. I want a Madagascar gumball movie, and then if I got hired to do that, I'd be like, okay, that's cool. I'll try to make it my flavor.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
um,
That's another thing too. So much of stuff is just timing and it is like timing.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, Adventures of Power was interesting because like I think the timing ended up being bad for that. It was a really bad year at Sundance for sales, and also the movie is a kind of comedy that's very heartfelt and genuine, and people wanted really cynical stuff at that time, I think,
Hmm.
and
Yeah, but
now it plays much better, huh?
how could you know that? That's like such a
Well,
tough.
you can't know that.
Yeah, you
I
can't.
don't think you can, but
How
I found out the
yeah.
hard way. But
Yeah.
because people were like, I mean, there were a lot of negative reviews. People who were just saying this isn't, they just were like almost angry at the movie. But now for the most part, when people find it, they love it. And I think
Yeah.
times have changed where they want the heart,
Yeah. That's
even in a
so
comedy.
interesting. That's an interesting point, huh? Okay, I'm gonna ask you just a few random fun things, okay?
Okay.
Okay. What is your horoscope sign and does that mean anything to you?
It's Virgo, but Virgos are skeptical, so we don't believe in it.
All right, cool. That's the most succinct, perfect answer. Okay, what's a weird talent you have that um a lot of
Besides air drumming,
yeah, I know, I was actually just thinking that. Yeah, aside from air drumming, that people wouldn't know about you.
um, I'm a great dancer. I have some dance videos on my Instagram.
Oh, okay.
You can
Awesome.
see me do weird dancing on at Ari Gold. At Ari Gold. Been
Okay.
stolen. My name was stolen by Entourage. Um, I don't know. I don't really have weird special skills because the way I am, I think is just I just do it.
You also play the ukulele, right?
I do actually.
That's so
My
cool.
ukulele broke this just 2 hours ago. I realized
Oh, no.
the neck is cracked. I can fix it. I just got to get some glue. So, but yeah, I would play it for you, but it's currently in repair. So
Okay.
waiting for my glue
Okay, cool.
experience.
And then what is something that you do to be the now?
To be the now.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think, did I tell you about this? Yeah, to be present. If there's anything that you
I
do
meditate. I
consciously.
meditate well, supposedly every day, but I miss some days. But
Hmm.
I have a meditation practice. I surf. That's surfing is an amazing
Yeah.
um, kind of Taoist experience where you're getting into, wu wei, effortless action. Because you can't create the wave, you you ride the wave,
Right, that's
which is a great metaphor for life. But I say metaphor as an intellectual idea, but when you learn that in your body by sitting in the water, waiting for a wave,
mhm.
you can be meditative and peaceful at the same time you are very alert. And that combination is a great thing to do, that the body learns that then you can apply to the rest of your day.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I love that. That's amazing. So tell our listeners where they can find you and watch your stuff.
Well, my name is Ari Gold. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter and Clubhouse at Ari Gold, no dashes, no spaces, ARIGOLD. And you can watch my films on Amazon. Well, the features are on Amazon, but I guess it's easy to remember if you go to arigoldfilms.com, and that has all the links to my other websites, my other films, and my short films. So arigoldfilms.com. I can say it again, arigoldfilms.com. Should I
All
say it again?
right. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
And write nice review. If you like my movies, write nice reviews on Amazon because it helps those darn algorithms. And if you don't like it, you can just turn it off because it's free to watch.
Yes. Okay. So go watch Ari's films, and if you love it, leave a review, please, and a rating as well, I think, right?
Yeah,
Okay, cool. Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
you're most welcome.